I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your bullish bit brought to you by bitrefill.com, your one-stop shop to live on Bitcoin and Lightning. They've got all the best gift cards, things like Amazon, Apple, Best Buy, Airbnb, Uber, and much more. You can even do hotel bookings, you can do all of your travel, and you can now grab prepaid MasterCards as long as you have a US address that you can input. Check them out today, bitrefill.com. Links are down below to sign up now. I just finished Gladstein's new book, Hidden Repression: How the IMF and World Bank Sell Exploitation as Development. And so my reason for being bullish is the increasing ability to tell the IMF to go fuck itself. And so it's still at the point right now where it can be difficult as a nation to get out from under the thumb of the IMF. And we're starting to see hints of it. El Salvador is an example of that. But again, it's still early days, and who knows if they're going to bring their own brand of freedom to El Salvador for its transgressions. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can kind of just grow and do their own thing and show that you can be prosperous without getting structural adjustments from the IMF on the regular. But nonetheless, like, first I want to outline, like, this book is pretty wild, but it basically kind of details the history of the IMF and the World Bank, their stated mandates of lifting the world out of poverty, and their track record of doing effectively the exact opposite, to the point where either it's intentional or they have the worst tactics imaginable to achieve their means. And so the trail of despair that they've left in their wake over the past number of decades is unprecedented. And anybody that's tried to basically push back against that, anybody that's tried to get out of those systems of oppression wherein they basically have to devalue their own currencies and they have to take these loans and adjust their own economies to be economies that basically export all of the value of the country to wealthier nations while not really spending any time actually building out their own infrastructure and making themselves self-sufficient. Anybody that's pushed back against that and said, maybe we could, you know, build up our own industry or not use the currency that they're telling us to use and back something with gold or choose an alternative. A lot of those leaders find themselves dead, or you know, there's been a handful of examples of that not turning out so well, and other leaders being put in place that are more than happy to accept the terms of the IMF and World Bank. Or a lot of times the IMF and World Bank will just cozy up with the worst of the worst dictators that don't give a shit what the people in their countries want, and are more than happy to take the money and siphon off a whole bunch of it for their own reasons and then build out whatever the IMF actually wants from that country. Seeing Bitcoin as at least an outroad for the citizens of those nations, at least being able to localize that in a place of, hey, I'm not going to operate on this standard. Perhaps I can at least hold a money that isn't beholden to the IMF, and perhaps create a small circular economy localized that isn't beholden to the IMF. And this kind of, I think, more grassroots, ground up approach to things, I think that's what will be more successful. I also do hope that we see more nations flip the bird to the IMF with Bitcoin as the impetus to do so. And I'm also very happy that somebody that has these types of conversations around this exploitation is part of, again, the Human Rights Foundation. Alex Gladstein is able to kind of get this message out to more people. But nonetheless, I'm just excited around the developments around this, and that people that are getting screwed by the system are starting to see a little bit that this at least helps them dodge some of the shitty things that regularly come their way.